If this message has reached you before the 29th of November, understand something deep within your spirit. You are standing in a rare, divinely timed moment that was not meant for everyone. This is not a coincidence, not an accident, not a random encounter. This is spiritual signal sent by God. A sign that the heavens have aligned something on your path that your heart has been secretly praying for. If these words appear before your eyes now, it is because God has chosen to interrupt your ordinary routine, break into your atmosphere, and awaken something in your soul that has been waiting to rise. There are millions who will scroll without seeing, millions who will hear without understanding, millions who will let this pass by without realizing the significance. But not you, because God does not call those who are not prepared. God does not whisper to those whose season has not arrived. And God does not bring a message like this into your life unless something is about to shift with the force of destiny. This moment is the evidence that heaven has already started moving things behind the scenes. There are things God is adjusting, realigning, removing, revealing, strengthening, and establishing for you. You may not see it physically yet, but spiritually the foundation has already been poured. You may not feel it emotionally yet, but the shift has already begun. You may not understand why now, but the divine timing is precise. Before the 29th of November, your life will undergo a turning point. And I want you to hear this with your whole being. You are not receiving this message by chance. When God pulls you into alignment, He doesn't do it quietly. He surrounds you with the signs. He speaks to you through inner conviction. He sends messages at exact moments. He places words in front of you that your soul instantly responds to. Even if your mind doesn't fully understand, your spirit recognizes it. That is what is happening right now. Something inside you is whispering, "This is for me." Something inside you is awakening. Something inside you is a stirring. Something inside you is arising with expectation. This is God's confirmation that the season you have been waiting for is now unfolding. For months, maybe even years, you will carry the burdens that no one knew about. You walked through situations that drained you emotionally and spiritually. You gave your strength to people who didn't appreciate it. You poured your heart into places that didn't value it. You gave effort to opportunities that didn't grow. You fought battles in silence that others would not have survived. But even when you were tired, you kept going. Even when you felt empty, you didn't give up. Even when you were unsure, you still held on. You didn't know it at the time, but God was watching closely. God was recording every tear, every sacrifice, every struggle, every lonely moment. Not one second of your suffering was wasted. Not one season of your pain was ignored. And now God is saying, because you remained faithful, I am shifting your life in a way that will make sense of everything you endured. Before the 29th of November, you will begin to see the evidence of what God has been preparing. It may come quietly at first, a moment of clarity, a sudden peace, a realization, an idea, an unexpected opportunity, an inner release. But it will come. And once it starts, it will not stop. Your life is entering a flow where divine timing meets divine order, where things that once resisted you start aligning for you, where paths that once felt blocked suddenly open, where relationships that once drained you fall away without pain, where confusion that once clouded your mind dissolves into clarity, where what you thought was lost reveals itself as protection. God is not bringing you into an ordinary season. God is bringing you into a season of spiritual elevation. There are 3 reasons why this message had to reach you before the 29th of November. First, God is closing a cycle in your life. A cycle of unnecessary battles, a cycle of repeated disappointment, a cycle of emotional exhaustion, a cycle of carrying people and problems that were never assigned to you. God is shutting doors behind you, not to punish you, but to protect you, not to limit you, but to release you, not to break you, but to rebuild you. This cycle must end so that a new phase of clarity and purpose can begin. God cannot place new blessings in a life that still entertains old burdens. Second, God is positioning you for increase. You may not feel ready. You may not see how. You may not understand the details, but God is not limited by what you see. God is preparing opportunities that require a stronger, wiser, more spiritually grounded version of you. That is why you went through everything you went through. Every painful moment built you. Every loss refined you. Every setback strengthened you. You are not the same person you were 6 months ago. You are more disciplined. You are more aware. You are more spiritually sensitive. You are more discerning. You can no longer tolerate what once trapped you, and that alone is proof of your transformation. Increase is coming because your character can now sustain what your spirit has desired. Third, God is revealing your identity. You have spent years shrinking yourself for people who are never meant to see your full capacity. You hid your gifts. You silenced your voice. You dimmed your light to avoid making others uncomfortable. You carried the wounds that you didn't know how to heal. But God is saying enough. Step into who you truly are. Before the 29th of November, something inside you will awaken. You will feel an inner strength rising, a confidence returning, a clarity forming. You will begin to see yourself the way God sees you, capable, chosen, protected, and destined. And now listen to this next truth, because it will shift your entire perspective. The enemy attacked you hardest during this year because God was preparing you for something greater than what you lost. The pressure you felt was a sign of your spiritual value. The resistance you faced was a sign of your potential. The isolation you experienced was a sign of your elevation. You were being separated, not rejected. You are being realigned, not abandoned. You are being transformed, not broken. Everything in your life has been leading to this moment. Before the 29th of November, God is going to bring you into a divine reset, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, even physically. You will notice shifts. You will feel lighter. You will think differently. You will see opportunities where before you saw obstacles. You will begin letting go of things that no longer serve your purpose. You will detach from people who drain your energy. You will release fears that once controlled you. You will embrace what once intimidated you. You will step into decisions with boldness instead of hesitation. Because the version of you that God is raising cannot live in the mindset of the virgin you used to be. There is a reason you felt disconnected from certain people lately. Your spirit outgrew them. There is a reason your heart felt uncomfortable with old habits. Your purpose outgrew them. There is a reason some opportunities didn't work out. Your destiny outgrew them. God removed what you didn't have the strength to walk away from, and God is saying to you now, the shift has already begun. You may not feel anything dramatic, but spiritual change often begins quietly. The same way a seed grows underground before it ever breaks through the soil, your breakthrough has been developing beneath the surface. The signs were subtle. Your growing restlessness, your desire for more, your sudden clarity, your increasing sensitivity to energy, your craving for peace, your pull towards silence and reflection. These were not random feelings. These were spiritual indicators that God was preparing you for transition. And now the transition is here. Before the 29th of November, expect 3 things to happen in your life. First, expect clarity. God will reveal something you couldn't understand before. A truth, a path, a decision, a person's true intentions, a hidden opportunity, something that was foggy will suddenly become clear. It will feel like a veil lifting from your mind. You will look back and say, now I understand. Second, expect release. Something that has been weighing on your heart will loosen. A burden you've been carrying for too long will break. A fear you've been battling will dissolve. God will remove stress, confusion, and heaviness from your spirit. You will feel emotional freedom in areas where you once felt trapped. Third, expect movement. A door will open. A conversation will happen. A connection will appear. An opportunity will surface. God will send you signs that the next phase of your life is beginning. You will feel things accelerating. You will sense momentum. You will know that this is not coincidence. This is divine timing. And now I tell you this with spiritual authority. Do not disregard what God is about to do because it feels unfamiliar. Growth feels uncomfortable. Change feels disruptive. Elevation feels isolating. Transition feels confusing. But do not fear it. Embrace it. Because God never removes anything from your life without replacing it with something better. God never closes a door without preparing a door that leads to expansion. God never asks you to release something unless He is preparing something more aligned with your destiny. The life you have been settling for is not the life God intends for you. You are not created for survival. You were created for purpose. You were not created to live in confusion. You were created to walk in clarity. You were not created to chase people. You were created to attract what aligns with you. You are not created to shrink. You were created to grow. You were not created to fear. You were created to trust. And God has been preparing you for a version of life that is bigger than what you asked for. That is why you felt the pressure. Pressure always precedes expansion. Pressure always precedes blessing. Pressure always precedes breakthrough. Before the 29th of November, your pressure will turn into elevation. This message is reaching you as a sign that God has already sent the shift. Your job now is simple. Align yourself. Align your mind by letting go of old beliefs. Align your emotions by releasing old wounds. Align your spirit by returning to inner stillness. Align your decisions with purpose instead of a fear. Align your expectations with the future instead of the past. God is telling you, prepare yourself. What is coming is greater than what you lost. You survived what was meant to break you. You overcame what was meant to destroy you. You outlasted the storms that others didn't even know you were facing. And because you endured, you will now witness the manifestation of what God has promised. The next chapter of your life will be different. Your energy will be different. Your mindset will be different. Your boundaries will be different. Your relationships will be different. Your opportunities will be different. Your direction will be different. Your spirit will be different. And now as you move deeper into this moment, God has prepared for you. Understand this. When God chooses a person for elevation, He does not begin with a comfort. He begins with the awakening. God stirs the spirit before He rearranges the environment. God ignites inner transformation before He releases outer opportunity. Many people ask God for change without realizing that true change begins in the invisible places of the heart. That is where God has been working on you, shaping you, refining you, strengthening you for the next phase of your journey. There are some breakthroughs that cannot be delivered to a restless mind. There are some blessings that cannot be placed in an unprepared spirit. There are some opportunities that require a new level of inner discipline before they can manifest outwardly. That is why you have a sensing a call toward stillness, a pull toward focus, a quiet desire to step back from distractions that once entertained you. You may not have realized it, but God has been purifying your attention, sharpening your awareness, and removing the unnecessary noise from your life so you can finally hear what He has been trying to tell you. Because before God elevates a person, He first clears their path. And the reason this message is reaching you before the 29th of November is because God does not want you entering this new season carrying old energy. God is urging you to release the weight you've normalized. There are habits that must end, fears that must die, and patterns that must break, not because you are wrong or weak or flawed, but because these old structures cannot survive in the atmosphere God is bringing you into. You have outgrown what once limited you, and God is calling you to walk away from anything that keeps you tied to a lesser version of yourself. You must understand something essential. God is not only preparing a blessing for you, God is preparing you for the blessing. The transformation happening inside you is part of the miracle. The shift in your mindset, the maturing in your decisions, the strengthening in your boundaries. These are signs of divine preparation. You are stepping into a chapter where God is not just giving you answers. God is giving you wisdom to sustain the answers. God is not just giving you opportunities. God is giving you the discernment to choose the right ones. God is not just giving you peace. God is giving you the strength to protect your peace. And this is important because the next season of your life will require a higher level of spiritual responsibility. When God elevates you, He also increases your sensitivity. You will begin to notice things you once ignored. You will begin to recognize people's intentions more quickly. You will sense energy more deeply. You will feel when something is right and when something is wrong without needing explanation. This is God strengthening your intuition, sharpening your discernment, and equipping you to navigate the places He is taking you. Many people want blessings, but do not want discernment. They want elevation, but do not want discipline. They want the visibility, but do not want spiritual maturity. But God does not elevate a person who is not ready to carry the weight of what they are asking for. That is why the path to blessing often feels intense. God does not raise you without preparing you. God does not honor you without first refining you. God does not increase you without transforming the structure of your inner life. And listen carefully. The way God elevates you will surprise you because it will begin with internal breakthroughs long before external breakthroughs manifest. People often focus on the outside material progress, financial blessing, open doors. But God starts with a heart. God starts with the mind. God starts with a spirit. Because if your inner world is strong, nothing in your outer world can destroy you. You are now in a place where God is strengthening your inner world. Fear is falling away. Doubt is losing power. Shame is dissolving. Uncertainty is breaking. Confusion is clearing. You are returning to the truth of who you are. A person chosen, protected, and guided by God. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but by divine design. And the deeper truth you must understand is this: God has already gone ahead of you. While you were worrying about next week, next month, next year, God was already preparing the place you are destined to enter. God does not guide you into the unknown without first securing the path. God does not call you into a new chapter without first preparing the resources, the people, the strength, and the clarity you will need. You are stepping into a future that God has already built. That is why you must begin walking with a confidence. Not confidence in yourself alone, but confidence in the one who leads you. When God directs your steps, uncertainty cannot stop you. When God establishes your path, obstacles cannot break you. When God is protecting your purpose, opposition cannot defeat you. You are walking with the divine covering. You are moving with the divine guidance. You are rising with the divine strength. And now let me go deeper. There are 3 spiritual forces that have been trying to hold you back: doubt, distraction, and delay. But God is breaking all 3 in this season. Doubt has tried to silence your inner courage, but God is restoring your confidence with a clarity and conviction. You will begin to trust yourself again, not because your pastor was perfect, but because God has strengthened you through every mistake, every lesson, every trial. You will step forward with a boldness because God has placed certainty in your spirit that cannot be shaken. Distraction has tried to divide your attention, but God is narrowing your focus. People who drain your energy will lose access to you. Environments that dull your spirit will no longer affect you. Conversations that once stole your time will no longer interest you. God is giving you razor-sharp clarity. You will know what matters and you will protect it fiercely. Delay has tried to convince you that your breakthrough is far away. But God is compressing time on your behalf. What should have taken years will happen faster. What seemed unreachable will suddenly come near. What felt impossible will unfold naturally. God is collapsing timelines because your season has arrived. Your waiting was not punishment, it was a preparation. And now that you are prepared, the flow of blessings that was held back will begin to pour into your life. But this outpouring requires one more thing from you. Obedience, not external obedience, but inner obedience. Obedience to the quiet pull of God. Obedience to the wisdom God places in your heart. Obedience to the intuition that guides you away from what is harmful and toward what is aligned. When God speaks to you through conviction, follow it. When God nudges you to distance yourself from someone, trust it. When God pushes you toward a decision that stretches your faith, obey it. Obedience is the bridge between preparation and manifestation. And this is why your spirit has been sensitive. Lately, God is not only talking to you, God is leading you. God is rearranging things around you so that your life can align with the destiny that has been written for you. You may have felt isolated at times, but isolation is not punishment. It is protection. God separated you so He could speak to you without interruption. You may have felt misunderstood, but misunderstanding is not rejection. It is refinement. God allowed the people to misinterpret you so He could free you from the need for their validation. You may have felt uncertain, but uncertainty is not weakness, it is transition. God brings you into unfamiliar environments so you can rely on Him more deeply. Everything that has happened to you this season has been strategic. You were not losing. You were learning. You were not stuck. You were being prepared. You were not alone. You were being guided. You were not forgotten. You were being chosen. You will not enter the next chapter of your life carrying the wounds of the last heal. God is healing you in ways you cannot yet see. Healing in your thoughts, healing in your emotions, healing in your spirit, healing in your confidence, healing in your identity, healing in your sense of self-worth, healing in your relationship with your own purpose, because God needs you whole for what is coming. What is coming requires strength. What is coming requires focus. What is coming requires trust. What is coming requires a renewed sense of who you are. You are not stepping into an ordinary season. You are stepping into a divinely orchestrated era of your life, an era where God is elevating you beyond what you thought was possible, an era where you will no longer operate from survival, but from spiritual authority, an era where you will no longer chase blessings because blessings will begin to locate you, an era where you will no longer bend yourself to fit into small spaces because God is placing you in environments that match your calling. And the closer you get to the 29th of November, the more you will sense this shift. Your spirit will confirm it. Your mind will recognize it. Your heart will receive it. Your steps will align with it. This message is reached to you for one reason. God wanted to remind you that your story is about to turn. Your season is about to change. Your life is about to expand. Nothing that left your life will be greater than what is coming into it. Nothing that hurt you will outweigh what God is preparing to bless you with. Nothing that was broken will compare to what God is rebuilding. You're walking into a chapter where everything begins to make sense. When you decide to walk with God, you discover that the greatest breakthroughs are born in the darkest rooms of your life. It is in the silence of your struggles that God molds you, shapes you, and prepares you for what your eyes cannot yet see. And this is why you must never fear the seasons where people misunderstand you, where opportunities seem to vanish, or where the path ahead feels hidden. God often hides you before He elevates you, because elevation without preparation is destruction. When God is about to expand your destiny, He will first expand your capacity. He stretches your faith, strengthens your patience, and refines your character. Because what He is building in you requires endurance, not comfort. So do not be surprised when God pulls you away from certain people, places, and habits that once felt familiar. God protects His treasure by removing anything that threatens its purity. There are moments in life when God will isolate you, not because you are weak, but because He's teaching you how to stand in power without depending on anyone's approach. He wants you anchored in Him, not attached to approval. God does not train warriors in the spotlight. He trains them in solitude. And every time you feel unseen, remember that God is watching you with intention, measuring your loyalty, testing your focus, and sharpening your spirit for a future that will require greater strength than you have ever needed before. And as you grow deeper into God's guidance, you realize that the challenges you face are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations to trust God more. Invitations to elevate your thinking. Invitations to step into the level of discipline, clarity, and self-control required for your next season. God uses pressure to unlock potential. He uses discomfort to push you toward the purpose. He uses delays to protect you from dangers you cannot discern. What you call a setback, God often calls a setup for transformation. And every closed door is evidence that God is redirecting you towards something better aligned with your destiny. There will come a time when the very things that once intimidated you will bow before the strength God has built inside you. The fears that controlled you will lose their power. The wounds that weakened you will turn into wisdom. The burdens that broke you will become the testimony that elevates you. God wastes nothing. Not your tears, not your pain, not your disappointments. Everything you have endured is being rearranged, repurposed, and recalibrated for your advantage. God is the master of turning your lowest moments into the foundation of your greatest breakthroughs. Listen carefully, because what I am about to say carries the weight of divine truth. God does not move slowly when it comes to those He has chosen, but He will always move in perfect timing. The difference between ordinary life and extraordinary life is knowing how to wait on God without losing faith. Waiting is not inactivity. Waiting is a preparation. Waiting is the sharpening of your vision, the refining of your character, the strengthening of your spirit. Every moment you feel stalled, every hour that tests your patience, every day that stretches your endurance, it is God's invisible hand at work, orchestrating events, aligning people, and opening doors that you cannot yet perceive. And if this message has reached you before the 29th of November, it is because God is alerting you. The waiting is over, the alignment is in motion, and the next season is knocking at your door. There is a profound spiritual principle that you must grasp. God never elevates someone by making life easy. He elevates them by making life intentional. The storms, the struggles, the lonely nights, the unanswered prayers, they were not random trials. They were deliberate, divinely engineered moments meant to teach you endurance, deepen your faith, and awaken your spiritual discernment. When the winds howl and the ground shakes beneath you, do not despair. God is teaching you how to stand unshakable, immovable, and unwavering. He is preparing your heart to handle victory without arrogance and success without compromise. The same power that brings you through the storm is the same power that will elevate you to the next level of your life. Now, listen to this. God is not concerned with the mediocrity in His chosen ones. He is preparing you for abundance, influence, and authority, but not before He equips you to steward it well. Many desire elevation, but few are prepared to carry it with wisdom, humility, and spiritual strength. That is why God has been removing distractions, clearing your path, and separating you from energies and influences that would have diluted your breakthrough. Do not see this separation as punishment. See it as divine calibration. Every person who walked away, every opportunity that faded, every door that remained closed, these were all divine acts of protection, designed to make sure that when God's blessing comes, it comes fully and without compromise. The waiting, the loss, the isolation, all of it was purposeful. And if this message reaches you before the 29th of November, understand that the timing of your elevation has been carefully measured by the hand of God. And here is another truth. God always honors faith that perseveres in silence. The prayers you whispered in private, the battles you fought when no one was watching, the tears shed alone, they have all been recorded. God sees every effort, every act of obedience, every ounce of patience, and He is preparing to reward you in a way that will leave no doubt of His presence and His power. But this reward does not come through shouting, boasting, or seeking recognition from others. It comes quietly, powerfully, and inevitably, because God's blessings never rely on human validation. They rely on divine timing, divine wisdom, and divine authority. And the fact that you are still here, still listening, still committed, is proof that your faith is active and your spirit is aligned with God's purpose. Understand this. The battles you have faced are not meant to defeat you. They are meant to define you. The struggles, the losses, the setbacks, they are shaping the version of you that can handle victory with integrity. God is not interested in temporary success. He is interested in permanent transformation. That is why the breakthrough that awaits you before the 29th of November will not simply solve your problems. It will elevate your entire life. Your thinking will become sharper. Your heart will grow stronger. Your vision will expand, and your spirit will rise to a level you have never known before. Everything you have endured is now your foundation. Every hardship has laid the bricks for the house of your destiny, and now God is calling you to step into it with a confidence. And this is where many people stumble. They expect miracles without preparation, blessings without obedience, and breakthroughs without refinement. But God's methods are always intentional. He prepares before He provides. He strengthens before He elevates, and He refines before He releases. That is why the moments you have endured in solitude, the trials you faced in silence, and the lessons you learned through adversity are not wasted. They are treasures of preparation. They have fortified your spirit, sharpened your discernment, and readied your heart for what God is about to reveal. Do not underestimate the power of alignment. God does not bless chaos. God does not elevate confusion. God does not honor distraction. God blesses order, clarity, and purpose. That is why He has been guiding your steps, shaping your decisions, and redirecting your path. If you have felt the pressure, that pressure is not a sign of failure. It is the confirmation that God is forming you into a vessel capable of carrying more than you ever thought possible. The discomfort you feel now is the preparation for comfort that lasts. The discipline you have endured is the precursor to freedom that sustains. The patience you have practiced is the foundation for abundance that multiplies. Everything is intentional. Everything is divinely orchestrated. And before the 29th of November, you will witness the fruits of that divine orchestration. And let me speak directly to your spirit. Do not allow fear, doubt, or uncertainty to steal what God has already positioned for you. When you feel hesitation, remember that God's timing is perfect. When you feel the weight of responsibility, remember that God has already equipped you. When you encounter opposition, remember that God has already gone before you. Nothing in heaven or on earth can alter the plan God has for you. And the sooner you embrace that truth, the sooner you will Step fully into the life God has prepared. A life marked not by struggle, but by spiritual authority, divine provision, and unshakable peace. Before the 29th of November, God is calling you to rise with intentionality, to walk with courage, and to speak with conviction. Your faith must become active, your trust unshakable, and your vision clear. God is releasing a season where every step you take will align with His purpose. Every decision you make will resonate with wisdom. Every connection you form will reflect divine alignment. Every moment will carry the fingerprints of God's preparation, guidance, and power. And you will no longer be passive in life. You will be deliberate, intentional, and empowered by the one who orchestrates all things. The people who once doubted you, the situations that once limited you, and the opportunities that once delayed you, they are all shifting. God is realigning your life so that your next step are unstoppable. The chains that once bound you, the fears that once paralyzed you, and the uncertainties that once confused you, they are breaking. The darkness that once clouded your path is giving way to the illumination of God's presence. You are not merely moving forward. You are being lifted, carried, and positioned for a destiny that is greater than you have imagined. And now hear this final truth with the authority of the divine. What you are about to enter is a realm of life where your spirit, mind, and heart operate on a higher frequency. God is calling you to operate in this season with a heightened awareness, unshakable faith, and the spiritual clarity. Nothing that once troubled you can touch you now. Nothing that once delayed you can stop you now. Nothing that once intimidated you can influence you. Now God is placing you in a domain of alignment where every step you take is guided. Every path you walk is secured, and every blessing you receive is multiplied. This is your season of awakening, empowerment, and divine expansion. The message has reached you before the 29th of November for one reason. God is calling you to rise above fear, rise above limitation, and rise into the fullness of your purpose. And when you embrace this calling with a courage, faith, and steadfast devotion, you will witness miracles, breakthroughs, and transformations that will testify to the power of God. Perfect timing and perfect plan. Your journey, your struggle, your patience, and your perseverance, they have all led to this moment. And God's hand is not merely touching your life. God's hand is orchestrating a movement that will change everything. You are chosen, you are protected, you are guided, and your season of divine alignment has arrived.